The research vessel Stellar Horizon drifted silently through the void, its sensors probing the depths of the Cassiopeia sector. Neera Thalasi stood at her station, her iridescent scales shifting colors as she analyzed the incoming data streams. As the ship's lead xenobiologist, she had spent the last 3 cycles studying the unique bacterial colonies that thrived in the sector's radiation belts. Anomalous reading detected, announced the ship's AI, interrupting her concentration. Unknown energy signature at bearing 247. Hera's head frills twitched with interest as she redirected her instruments. The reading made no sense. It appeared to be some kind of propulsion signature, but it operated on principles she'd never encountered before. Captain Ven, she called out. You should see this. The captain, a towering Arxian with chitinous plates that gleamed under the bridge lights, moved to her station. His compound eyes studied the readouts with practiced efficiency. Origin? He clicked. Unknown, sir. The signature doesn't match anything in our database. But whatever it is, it's moving fast, far faster than any known ship. The captain's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of concern. Show me the vector. Naira brought up a holographic projection of the sector. The unknown contact was represented by a pulsing red dot moving at impossible speeds through the void. It's heading directly for us, she realized, her scales shifting to a worried blue. Shields up, Captain Ven ordered. All hands to stations. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as the crew prepared for potential contact. Neera's fingers flew across her console, gathering every scrap of data she could about the mysterious vessel. Sir, she called out, the energy readings. They're similar to theoretical models I studied at the academy. If I'm right, this could be. She never finished her sentence. The unknown ship suddenly decelerated from faster than light speeds to a relative stop, directly in front of them in a maneuver that should have been physically impossible. The vessel that faced them through the view screen defied explanation. Its hull was angular and predatory, gleaming with a dark metal that seemed to drink in the starlight. It was smaller than the stellar horizon, but something about its design spoke of barely restrained power. And we're being hailed, reported the communications officer, her tentacles writhing with nervous energy. Captain Ben straightened to his full height. On screen, the image that appeared caused Naira's breath to catch in her throat. The being on the screen was unlike anything she'd ever encountered, bipedal with smooth skin and no apparent scales or exoskeleton. But it was the eyes that held her attention, dark and intense, filled with an intelligence that seemed to pierce right through her. This is Commander Dominic Reeves of the Earth vessel Genesis, the being announced in perfect trade speech. We apologize for any alarm our arrival may have caused. Earth vessel. The words echoed in Naira's mind as her scales rippled with shock. Humans were supposed to be myths, stories told to frighten children about the terrible warriors who had vanished into deep space centuries ago. I am Captain Ven of the Galactic research vessel Stellar Horizon. Her captain responded, maintaining admirable composure. Your arrival was unexpected. Humans have not been seen in known space for over 300 cycles. The human's lips curved in what Naira would later learn was called a smile. Yes, we've been away for some time, but circumstances have changed. We'd like to request permission to send a delegation aboard your vessel to discuss matters of grave importance. Captain Ven's compound eyes swiveled to Neera, who nodded eagerly. As xenobiologist, this would be the opportunity of a lifetime. Granted, the captain clicked. We will prepare our main docking bay. As the crew scrambled to prepare for their visitors, Naira could hardly contain her excitement. Her scales had shifted to a bright, curious green. Humans. Real, living humans. Every xenobiologist dreamed of studying the mysterious species that had shaped so much of galactic history before vanishing without a trace. The docking procedure was executed with precision that spoke of advanced technology far beyond their own capabilities. Neera stood with Captain Ven and a small welcoming party in the docking bay. Her scientific scanner discreetly active, the airlock cycled, and Commander Reeves stepped through, accompanied by 2 other humans. They moved with a fluid grace that seemed at odds with their solid build, and Naira's scanner was registering some fascinating readings from their environmental suits. Thank you for your hospitality, Reeves said, removing his helmet to reveal close-cropped dark hair. Safdire. I understand our appearance must be quite shocking. Indeed, Captain Ven clicked. I believe many will find it difficult to believe humans have truly returned, which is why we chose to make first contact with a research vessel, Reeves explained. Scientists tend to be more adaptable to new information. Especially his dark eyes met Naira's, causing her scales to flush with an embarrassed purple when they're already studying us. She hadn't realized he'd noticed her scanner. I apologize, she began, but Reeves waved off her concern. No need. Curiosity is something our species share. In fact, he turned to Captain Ben. With your permission, I'd like to request that your xenobiologist join our discussion. What we have to share will be of particular interest to her field. And so Naira found herself in the ship's conference room, listening as Commander Reeves explained why humanity had isolated themselves for so long and why they had chosen this moment to return. With each word, each gesture, each expression, she found herself more fascinated by these creatures of legend who had suddenly become real. The myths she was discovering hadn't done them justice. Naira stood transfixed as Commander Reeves activated a holographic display in the conference room. The technology was unlike anything she'd ever seen, creating images so crisp and detailed they seemed solid enough to touch. Touch? For the past 3 centuries, Reeves explained, his voice carrying a gravity that made everyone lean forward. Humanity has been preparing. We didn't disappear. We evolved. The hologram showed a series of star systems Nira had never seen before. Hidden in regions of space thought uninhabitable. The human's ship, Genesis, appeared in stunning detail, its systems laid bare for their inspection. Your propulsion system. Nira couldn't help interrupting. Her scientific curiosity overwhelming protocol. It doesn't just bend space, it phases through it entirely. Reeves' expression showed what she would come to recognize as approval. Correct. We found that traditional faster than light travel was too limiting. Captain Ven's mandibles clicked rapidly. Such technology would revolutionize galactic travel. Why share this with us now? The hologram shifted, showing a dark region of space where something massive moved in the shadows. Because of them, Reeves said grimly, we call them the Void Hunters. They've been waiting in the spaces between galaxies, gathering strength. Now they're coming. Now they're coming. Nira's scales shifted to a pale blue of concern as she studied the imagery. The entities were vast, their forms seeming to defy conventional physics. How long have you known about this threat? We detected them 50 years ago. One of Reeves' officers, Dr. Jasmine Patel, spoke up. It's why we accelerated our return plans. The galaxy will need humanity's advancements to survive what's coming. Over the next several hours, the humans shared more of their technological and scientific achievements. Naira's mind raced with the implications. Their medical technology alone could transform countless lives, and their understanding of dimensional physics made current galactic science look primitive. We'd like to establish a joint research initiative, Reeves proposed, his dark eyes meeting Naira's. Your expertise in xenobiology, combined with our advanced technology, could be crucial in understanding the Void Hunters. I volunteer, Nira said immediately, her scales flushing with excitement. Captain Ben clicked in amusement. He'd clearly expected her response. The next few days passed in a blur of discovery. Naira was granted access to the Genesis, where she worked closely with the human science team. Each moment revealed new wonders, but she found herself particularly fascinated by the humans themselves. They were a study in contradictions. Their technology was incredibly advanced, yet they maintained what they called analog backups for critical systems. They possessed weapons that could tear apart space itself, yet she observed them spending hours tending to small plants in their hydroponics bay. Huanfu, so it was at her hydroponics bay. Most intriguing was Commander Reeves himself. Despite his imposing presence and obvious authority, he frequently joined the research teams, asking questions and offering insights that revealed a keen scientific mind. Sa. Your species nothing like the stories, Nira commented one day as they reviewed data together. The legends speak only of warriors and conquerors. Reeves looked up from the display, his expression thoughtful. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our ability to fight. It's our ability to adapt, to learn, to grow. Is that why you isolated yourselves? To grow? We needed time to mature as a species, to learn wisdom to match our power. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. Dr. Patel rushed into the lab, her dark eyes wide with concern. Commander, we're detecting spatial distortions matching the Void Hunter signatures. Matching the Void Hunter signatures. They're closer than we thought. Reeves immediately shifted from contemplative scientist to commanding officer. How long? At current speed, 3 weeks until they reach populated space. We need to accelerate our timeline, he decided. Turning to Naira, he decided. Turning to Naira. How quickly can you arrange a meeting with the Galactic Council? Naira's scales rippled with anxiety. The Council moved slowly, getting them to accept humanity's return and act on this threat. Then we'll have to convince them. His confidence was infectious. Confidence was infectious. Your people trust science, evidence. We'll give them proof they can't ignore. As they rushed to prepare their presentation for the council, Nima realized something had fundamentally shifted in her understanding of humans. The myths had painted them as dangerous outsiders, outsiders, unpredictable and alien. But working alongside them, seeing their dedication, their curiosity, their determination to protect a galaxy that had all but forgotten them, she recognized a profound truth. Humans weren't just returning to galactic society, they were offering something it desperately needed. Their unique blend of innovation, adaptability, and determination might be exactly what would save them all from the approaching darkness. And as she caught Reeves' eye across the lab, noting the intensity of his focus and the subtle quirk of his lips that she now knew meant he was formulating a plan, Naira admitted to herself that she was grateful humans had chosen this moment to step out of legend and into reality. The Galactic Council chamber was a marvel of architecture, its crystalline walls stretching up into darkness. Naira stood beside Commander Reeves as they waited to be called, her scales shifting between nervous purple and determined green. They're ready for us, she whispered as the massive doors began to open. The council members sat in tiered rows, representatives from every major species in known space. Their combined attention felt like a physical weight as Naira and Reeves stepped forward. Esteemed council, Naira began, her voice steady despite her anxiety. 3 cycles ago, the research vessel Stellar Horizon made contact with humans, interrupted Counselor Dress, his cybernetic eyes whirring as they focused on Reeves. You expect us to believe that after 3 centuries of silence, They simply appeared to warn us of some nebulous threat. Reeves stepped forward, his presence somehow filling the vast chamber. There's nothing nebulous about the Void Hunters, Counselor. Allow us to present our evidence. Our evidence. The holographic display they'd prepared sprang to life, filling the chamber with images of the approaching entities. Data streamed alongside the visuals, collected from both human sensors and the Stellar Horizons instruments. The Void Hunters exist in multiple dimensional phases simultaneously, Reeves explained. This is why they've remained undetected by conventional sensors. But they leave traces, gravitational distortions, quantum irregularities. These readings, one of the scientific advisors spoke up, their crystalline form refracting light as they moved. They match anomalies we've been detecting for decades. We never understood their source. Because you weren't looking in the right spectrum, Dr. Patel added, joining them on the floor. Humanity developed multi-dimensional scanning technology during our isolation. We had to survive in the spaces we inhabited. The chamber erupted in overlapping conversations as council members debated among themselves. Naira noticed Reeves tense slightly, a human stress response she'd learned to recognize. There's something you haven't told them, she realized, keeping her voice low. His dark eyes met hers, and she saw conflict there. There's something I haven't told anyone except my highest commanders. He glanced at the debating council. We didn't develop our advanced technology just to survive in isolation. We developed it because we'd encountered the Void Hunters before. Nira's scales paled to shocked white. What? It was first contact for humanity centuries ago. Before we'd met any other species, they came to Earth, our homeworld. We barely survived. It's why we advanced so quickly, why we seemed so prepared for war when we first entered galactic society. The revelation staggered her. Why keep this secret? Because he began, but was interrupted as Counselor Dress called for order. Even if we accept these beings exist, the counselor's mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. Why should we trust humans to help us fight them? Their history with our peoples is one of conflict and destruction. Reeves' response was immediate and passionate. Because we know them. We've fought them. And more importantly, we've spent centuries preparing for their return. My people didn't exile ourselves out of shame or anger. We did it to protect the galaxy. He activated a new hologram showing the true extent of human preparation. Hidden shipyards, defensive installations, research stations, all positioned to create a barrier between the approaching threat and populated space. We built a wall, he declared, between the void and the galaxy. We sacrifice contact with other species, normal development, to stand guard against their return. Now that they're coming, we're offering not just our technology, but our experience. The chamber fell silent. Even Counselor Jez silent. Even Counselor Dress seemed taken aback by the scale of human preparation. There's more. Naira stepped forward, her scales now glowing with the bright green of discovery. Working with the humans, she'd begun to understand something crucial. Every faster-than-light jump, every quantum communication, every piece of technology we take for granted, it draws them. Like moths to a flame, Reeves nodded. But human phase drive technology operates differently. It doesn't leave an energy signature they can track. Combined with our weapons systems, we can fight them without feeding them. The council chamber erupted again, but this time the tone was different. Fear was giving way to hope, skepticism to possibility. As the council began drafting emergency measures for cooperation with humanity, Naira turned to Reeves. Why didn't you tell everyone about your previous encounter with them? His expression was grim. Because there's more to that story. Something we discovered about why they came to Earth first. First, something that changes everything we thought we knew about them and about ourselves. Before he could elaborate, alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. Dr. Patel rushed in, her face pale. Commander, they're here. The Void Hunters. They're not coming in 3 weeks. They're coming now. Chaos erupted in the council chamber as emergency alerts flashed across every screen. Through the crystalline walls, the sky above the capital world had begun to ripple like disturbed water. How? Reeves demanded, already moving toward the exit with Naira close behind. Our calculations. They've evolved, Dr. Patel explained, bringing up data on her portable terminal. They're using our own FTL wake signatures to accelerate their transit. Every ship that's jumped in the last month has been leaving them breadcrumbs. Naira's scales shifted to battle-ready bronze as they rushed toward the emergency transport. The Genesis, already preparing for launch, Reeves confirmed. But we need more than one ship. The defense network isn't fully activated yet. The Stellar Horizon, Naira suggested. It's been retrofitted with some of your phase drive technology. Captain Ben we need every ship we can get. Counselor Drez's mechanical voice interrupted. The cybernetic official had followed them. I'm issuing an emergency authorization. All vessels in the sector are now under Joint Human Council command. Reeves nodded sharply. Dr. Patel coordinate with the Council's fleet control. Priority is evacuating civilian ships from the outer sectors. They're broadcasting FTL signatures like beacons. Commander, Naira caught his arm as they reached the transport. You never finished telling me what you discovered about the Void Hunters. Why they came to Earth first. There's no time. We need to get to the Genesis. The trip to the orbital docking station was tense. Through the viewport, Naira could see the distortions in space growing larger. Ships of all sizes were scrambling, some trying to escape using conventional FTL drives, which only made them more visible to the approaching entities. All those ships, she whispered. They're just making themselves targets? This is Commander Reeves to all vessels. His voice broadcast across emergency channels. Do not attempt faster than light travel. Repeat, do not jump. Maintain sublight speeds and proceed to these coordinates. The Genesis hung in space like a predatory shadow, its hull seeming to drink in the light from the system's sun. As they approached, Nira saw other ships gathering, a hastily assembled fleet of everything from research vessels to cargo haulers. Man, we can't fight them conventionally, Reeves explained as they rushed onto the bridge, but we can hide them. The Genesis can extend its phase field to cover other ships. We just need to get them close enough. Commander, the Genesis's AI announced, first visual contact with Void Hunter entities in 5 minutes. The main screen activated, showing the approaching horror. They emerged from the ripples in space like vast sea creatures surfacing from an ocean's depth. Their forms seemed to shift and change, existing in multiple states simultaneously. By the first light, Counselor Dress whispered, his cybernetics whirring as they tried to process what they were seeing. This is what came to Earth? Naira asked, her scales pale with awe and fear. Yes, Reeves confirmed, taking his command position, but we're more prepared this time. Dr. Patel, begin phase synchronization with the civilian ships. Tactical, power up the dimensional inverters. Commander, Naira stepped closer, keeping her voice low. If they recognize something in humanity, something that drew them to Earth, doesn't that mean that humans might be more connected to them than we thought? He gave her a grim smile. Why do you think we were able to develop phase drive technology? How we learned to exist in the spaces between conventional space. The implication staggered her. You adapted their own nature against them. Humanity's greatest strength, he reminded her. Now let's put it to use. Use. All ships, prepare for phase shift on my mark. The Void Hunters approach, their massive forms distorting reality around them. Conventional weapons from the Council ships passed right through them, doing no damage. But Nira noticed something strange. They're not attacking, she realized. They're studying us. Not us, Reeves corrected. They're studying the Genesis. They recognize what we've done, how we've changed ourselves. His hands flew across the command interface, and they don't like it. All ships phase shift now. The Genesis's drive activated, and Naira felt reality shift around them. The civilian ships disappeared from normal space, protected within their extended phase field. The Void Hunters reacted instantly, their forms writhing with what might have been. They can't track us in phase space, Reeves explained, because we're using their own dimensional principles. But we can hurt them. He turned to tactical, target their dimensional anchor points. Fire inverters. The battle that followed defied conventional description. The Genesis led the attack, its weapons striking at points where the Void Hunters' multiple dimensional states converged. Other ships, protected by the phase field, provided supporting fire under human guidance. The entities fought back with terrible power, their attacks warping space itself. But they couldn't find ships that existed partially in their own dimensional state, and for the first time in their ancient existence, they faced prey that understood their nature. As Naira watched Reeves coordinate the defense, she finally understood why humans had isolated themselves. They hadn't been hiding, they'd been transforming themselves into something new, something that could face this threat as equals. But as another Void Hunter emerged from the distortions, larger than the others, she wondered if even that would be enough. The massive Void Hunter loomed before them, its form rippling across multiple dimensions like a dark aurora. On the Genesis's bridge, Naira's scales shifted between combat-ready bronze and analytical green as she studied the entity's patterns. That's their nexus form, Reeves explained, his voice tight with recognition. We encountered one at Earth. It's what coordinates their collective consciousness. Commander, Dr. Patel called out. The phase field is starting to destabilize. We can't maintain coverage of all ships indefinitely. Nira's analytical mind raced. The dimensional inverters, they're not just weapons, are they? They're communication devices. Reeves met her eyes, and in that moment, she understood what he'd been holding back. When they came to Earth, we didn't just fight them. We learned from them. Had to survive. Humanity's transformation wasn't just technological, it was evolutionary. You became like them, she whispered. Not like them, he corrected. We took their principle of dimensional transcendence and adapted it to our own nature. Instead of consuming dimensional energy, we learned to exist within it, to shape it. The Nexus entity pulsed and reality shuddered around them. Other Void Hunters began moving in complex patterns, their forms synchronizing. They're preparing for a collective strike, Dr. Patel warned. If they hit us with their combined dimensional force, then we show them they're not the only ones who can work together, Reeves decided. He opened a channel to all ships. This is Commander Reeves, what you're about to see. It's why humanity hid ourselves away. Why we had to be sure we were ready. Everyone brace for dimensional shift. He turned to Nira, his expression softening slightly. Trust me. Her scales flushed with warm colors despite the tension. Always. Reeves closed his eyes, and Nira felt something change. The Genesis's hull began to shimmer, not with technology, but with something more fundamental. The human crew members seemed to resonate with the effect, their forms becoming slightly indistinct. By the first light, Counselor Dress breathed, his cybernetics struggling to process what they were seeing. The Genesis wasn't just phasing, it was transforming. Under the direction of its human crew, the ship began to exist in multiple dimensional states, just like their enemies. But where the Void Hunters were chaos and consumption, this was harmony and protection. Now, Reeves commanded, his voice carrying harmonics that reminded Naira of the Void Hunter's own communications. All ships synchronize with our dimensional frequency. The protected fleet began to pulse in unity, guided by the Genesis's transformation. Naira watched in awe as human crew members acted as conduits, extending their newfound dimensional awareness to coordinate the entire fleet's response. The Nexus entity reacted with what could only be described as shock. Its patterns became erratic, its communication with the other hunters disrupted by the unexpected development. They never imagined, Naira realized, that their prey could become like them, but remain themselves. Humanity's greatest strength, Reeves reminded her, his form flickering between dimensions as he coordinated the fleet's response. We adapt, we learn, we grow, but we never lose what makes us human. The battle that followed transcended conventional space and time. The Genesis led the fleet in a dance across dimensions, striking at the Void Hunter's vulnerabilities while maintaining the protective field around the civilian ships. The entities fought back with increasing desperation, but they faced something unprecedented: prey that had mastered their own nature. Finally, the Nexus entity began to retreat, its consciousness rippling with what Naira's instruments interpreted as confusion and fear. The other hunters followed, their forms fading across dimensional boundaries until they vanished completely. As the Genesis and its crew returned to conventional space, Naira approached Reeves. His form had solidified, but something about him seemed different, as if she could now see the multiple layers of his existence. Will they return? She asked. Perhaps, he admitted, but now the galaxy is prepared, and humanity doesn't have to hide anymore. In the days that followed, the council chambers were filled with unprecedented cooperation. Human ships began openly patrolling galactic space, sharing their phase drive technology and training other species to recognize dimensional threats. Research teams, led by humans and council scientists working together, studied the implications of dimensional transcendence. It's ironic, Naira commented to Reeves as they watched a joint human-alien crew practice dimensional awareness techniques. The legends painted humans as fearsome warriors when you were actually our protectors all along. We can be both, he replied, his hand finding hers in a gesture that had become natural despite their physiological differences. Warriors when needed, protectors always, but most importantly, teachers now. And what about us? She asked, her scales shifting to colors that reflected her deepening feelings. What do we become? His smile held that familiar intensity that had first captivated her, but now she could see the dimensional resonance behind it. Layers of emotion and connection that transcended physical form. Something new, he said softly. Something that proves that understanding across species, across dimensions, across all boundaries is possible. As they looked out at the stars together, Naira reflected on how far they'd come from that first shocking contact. Humans had emerged from myth into reality, bringing with them not just advanced technology or powerful weapons, but a fundamental transformation in how the galaxy understood existence itself. And as she felt Reeves's dimensional resonance harmonize with her own bioelectric field, she knew they were just beginning to explore what was possible when different species came together in unity and understanding. The myths, she decided, hadn't been wrong about humans being extraordinary. They had simply failed to capture the true nature of their excellence, not their power to destroy, but their capacity to transform, to protect, and to love across all boundaries of space, time, and dimension.